talk about you specifically. So a few minutes ago, you said something about being a nurse.
I was for almost 30 years.
Oh, so you're not a nurse now?
No.
Do you use those nursing skills, in case,
In case you
Well, I do
get
tell
the
people if they're a
karate.
little nervous, and Nick and I know how to fix it.
She
So
started
don't worry.
IV really quickly.
I know the pressure.
Yeah, no, that's good because I'm always nervous about it. But okay, so why did you quit that? I mean, well, let's go back even further. Let's talk about your childhood. No, let's not. No, let's talk about it. So the bottom line is you were a nurse for 30 years, right now. So when did you move to Lovettsville? When did you quit nursing? And then when did you start the store? And have you done this before? Right? I mean, in other words, you didn't do it for 30 years, is what I'm assuming.
No, So I moved to Lovettsville in 2004 to be with my horses, bought a 20-acre farm, and was nursing at Fairfax Hospital then in the recovery room, and then I ended up doing hospice and home health out in the Loudon area. I've always loved my job, loved working. I mean, I'm hardly ever unhappy. Seriously, I'm usually like, ooh.
I can't imagine.
I know.
It's a stretch.
That's a surprise. Well, what year did you stop nursing?
Just last year.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Finally, when I made the decision to open the shop,
yeah.
I mean, the behind the scenes stuff is a whole nother part-time job.
Yeah, no,
like you don't get to go home and yuck it up. You're.
Yeah.
I was there till 10 o'clock both Monday night and Tuesday night this week, just doing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, so I couldn't keep it up. I've had 3 jobs. I worked at another barbershop in Middleburg. I worked at the surgery center. I cut hair at the jail. And then I was also cutting hair when another girl owned a shop here.
So the deal with your husband, so was this one, so he's in our studio, obviously.
Yeah.
But the question is, was this one of these Florence Nightingale things where he had some rash in some place that was way too embarrassing? And you nursed him back to health?
Not even close.
Not even close?
No.
Because that would be a good story. And it would really,
it would be, but
really give me a lot of hits on this video.
No.
So let's talk about when you opened the store. So you were doing some hair before you opened the store.
Did some hair before, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so clearly this hadn't been something you've been doing forever, right?
No.
So you open a store. So from a small business perspective, why you can cut hair anywhere.
Exactly.
Why are you going through this pain, to start a small business?
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
But I guess I'll tell you why. Is because working for 2 other people, which the other gentleman that I worked for in Middleburg is one of my heroes. I love him, and I would take a bullet for him in a minute, and I mean that literally and figuratively.
Well, I sell bullets if you want to take them.
In case anybody else bought one,
you can take them the whole box.
Buy them something. But whenever you go to work for someone else and you do it 30 years, you got to do everything their way. Yeah. And you develop your own values and principles about how you want to do things, and so just being in Lovettsville and being close to home, and I just thought, man, it'd be nice to drive 5 minutes to work and do things my way, use the products I want to use, set it up the way I want to set it up, and run it the way I want to run it. But it took me a year and a half or 2 years to really follow through because I thought about it for that long. Oh yeah.
Wow.
But it's that behind the scenes responsibility. You don't just get to go home. People think, oh, well, you must have some money. You got your own business. Well,
no.
No.
I'm still waiting for that.
Talk to the mother-in-law, can you help me out here? Talk to the husband, you go into the retirement. So do I want to do that to myself, and do I want to spend the after hours doing the administrative stuff, which I suck at? I mean, put me behind a chair and I'm like all happy, but you start handing me the computer and telling me to figure out your taxes, and I just want to blood screening for the airport. So
yeah, some of the reasons I had opened my business was actually for similar reasons, right?
Okay.
Because I didn't know. I tell people now I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I got no idea. Right?
You can't wing it every day.
No, absolutely. And it's like you don't know how many late payments on taxes I pay because I didn't know I had to pay them, right? So it's like, oh, you got to do that monthly. I was on the annual plan, right? And so when you hit with fees and confiscation notices,
and you were on the other side of the fence, so they'd probably find you.
No, absolutely right. But so we know that the biggest economic engine that we have is entrepreneurs. People who step out and take a risk and start small businesses. That's where economic growth begins. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to interview as many local businesses as possible, the actual owners, the actual people that started it, to have that conversation. So I'm dumbfounded it took you 2 years. But I'll be honest with you, it took me about 15 minutes. I said, I'm going to open a gun store. 15 minutes later, I'm filling out the forms.
Really?
Right? It was that quick. right? So, but you actually thought about it.
I was
So
worried.
I should have thought
Because of
about
what's
it.
happening in the world. I'm like, is this
Yeah.
going to be worth it, or am I just going to be paying taxes out the nose because I own a
So,
small business?
so what was that thought process that you went through in order to start the business?
All the considerations were, how much money would it take? Would I be able to make the money back, or even just, make money in general? Would I be better off working for someone else and not having the worry of owning the business? And like I keep calling it, all the administrative skills, and it's the taxes, it's the paperwork.
Right. And you really had not done that before.
I've never had
Never
my
done
own.
it. Okay.
No.
Yeah. But now let me ask you a question. So I'm going to assume that your startup costs were somewhat low. In other words, you're not building cars over there. You didn't build a plant, right?
No,
well, I got nothing here, man.
Did you see the inside of the place before I had it?
Yeah. Well, remember, my business was there. Hey,
no,
I was there.
You were upstairs.
I was there when we had no heat. I went through the entire winter
You up there
without one
coat?
heater. I had this little bitty thing here. I was freezing to death, right? I'd have people come in. I'd have to warm the bullets, right? Because they wouldn't fire in the cold. They were frozen solid.
You should have been up there like rubbing sticks together.
It's terrible. But anyway, but so you did revamp the entire inside.
Inside,
right?
yeah, of that section, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the little back section. It's
Right.
the cutest section, actually.
Yeah. And if you haven't been to it, at least go in, introduce yourself to Darcy, and just say hi, right?
And I have a partner, Kim. She's adorable.
Oh, sweet.
And she's very good
Have I
too.
met
So.
her? I haven't met her.
No, you haven't met her.
Ah.
She's
Is she as
good.
bubbly as you? Is there like 2 bubbles going here?
Well, pretty close.
Really? Oh
yeah.
my gosh! Right.
I may be worse.
Are y'all there
but
at the same time? Because that may
we are probably most of the time.
That's like a carbonated beverage.
And
Right.
we're both
don't close
tall,
the
and we're
door.
both about. Well, I'm
that's
older
funny.
than she is,
Oh,
but
I got it.
but yeah, we're within the same.
Okay, so you decided to find a facility.
Yeah.
Right? Now, was that hard for you?
No, because I had seen the inside of that, and I had said something to the landlord.
Yeah.
Like,
Fred
the year
George,
before,
great
Fred
guy.
George.
He
love
owns
him.
half of it.
Like family. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does. I call him Mr. Monopoly.
No, absolutely,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
He's like, well, you know Bobby Willard too, right?
Yeah,
So he's
yeah.
like Mr. Monopoly they're
The
Mr.
two.
Monopoly
Oh, yeah.
1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah.
But I saw the space.
They're like the Trump brothers in military, right? They own everything. They're the political maneuvering behind the scenes.
Exactly, yeah. If you know them, you're a true Lovettsvillian. It took me 10 years to know any of them after living here, but I saw the space when Richmond Real Estate was in there, using it as their rental office before they had a model home.
Right.
And so I kind of, I made the mistake. His wonderful wife Ann, I said something to her, and she had been on me for a long time to do it. And we just have a few things going on. He's got 2 girls in college, and I'm thinking, I don't know. And so put it off, and then finally, I just felt it coming. It was sort of snowballing, and I had a bunch of support from their family, from clients. And it just seemed at a certain point to be a no-brainer. Yeah. And because I had his total support, which is, I mean, I pretty much do what I want anyway.
Right.
But,
no, absolutely.
But having him be happy about it and not be worried about it, it makes a big difference to have your spouse say, yeah, man, go for it. So it seemed like the wrong thing to do to not do it, actually. So.
Well, to me, I was in business the nanosecond I signed the lease. Right, because that's a commitment.
It is.
Right?
I know.
I mean, that's
when
not
you say that, you see the look on my face. It's scary.
No, absolutely, right? It's not like a hotel. Slam, bam, you're done.
Yeah, what am I going to do?
No, absolutely. You got a 1-year lease or a whatever, for the physical space, and it's like, ooh, I'm actually in business. And now all of a sudden you have obligations.
Exactly.
And then now all of a sudden you got to make money to pay those obligations.
Exactly.
Right?
So you better get to work.
So what was the hardest thing? So you rented the facility, you did the fit out on it, which I think is really neat. So I know nothing about nothing, right? I got no eye for nothing.
Okay.
But when I walked in, I'm going like, oh, this is pretty neat, because neat is about as far as I can go on describing anything.
Yeah.
Right? Because I just don't have that vocabulary or even keen sense of observation.
I can answer that question very quickly.
Sure.
The 2 hardest things were figuring out how to utilize the space,
Right.
Which I finally did in my hypnagogic state. And do you know what that is? It's that state where you're falling asleep and you're almost there, but there's still some level of consciousness. Yeah. Seriously, that's when it happened. And the next day, we went in there when it was just nothingness inside, and I said, okay, this is how it's going to go. And then the 2 of us were like, in here, and that's here, and that's there, and that's there, and boom. And it took us about a month to get to that, because I hired a yucca puck from way out of town. and that didn't go
I'm sure he was
well.
a nice guy, but
But
yeah.
he wanted. Anyway, he had to go. We got rid of him. Once we got rid of him, and you'd be surprised the things you can do yourself if you give yourself
right.
time and credit.
Yeah.
And then the other truly hardest thing that took me months to get over, and I'm still getting over it. It was leaving my job in Middleburg with Dwight Grant, because he's the reason if I'm any good today.
Oh wow!
It's because of him. I love that man, and he's the reason that I'm here doing this. And if I'm successful, it's due to him.
Wow.
And I miss him like I miss you, Dwight.
This is only seen inside 20180, so I don't know if you live here. Yeah.
But I am Middleburg. I forget their address, their zip code.
Anyway. Okay, and so those are the two hardest things, right?
It was. It was because.
Well, how hard was it to leave though nursing? I mean, it sounded like I'm done. Hasta la vista.
I don't even. I forget.
Was I a nurse? I forgot.
No. Bye bye. But let me just say one thing to the public, okay? I love the public. I love the clinical nursing.
Yeah.
Like I love sticking you and in every orifice. I love taking care of people. Okay?
We're gonna clip that out too, because we're a family show here, right? So we're at the sex cult up the hill here. So I agree with you as far as trying something new. You wanted to try something new, right? And I made a post the other day on the Lovettsville 20180 thing, and I do think legitimately, I think man's greatest fear isn't anything other than what is in his head, right? And that is the unwillingness to try something new, right? I think that so immobilizes people. Right, in so many different ways, right? Whether it's a piece of food on a plate, or it's having a conversation or a discussion, or rock climbing, or whatever the case may be.
Where you live, your relationship, anything.
No, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And so the one thing I've always told my kids, is experience every single thing that you can do, that doesn't end up, in like death or dismemberment, right? Because it just adds to the greater, your greater knowledge and experience.
It builds your spinal column.
Yeah, and what happens is, my son just recently got a job, and the reason he got it is because he had one heck of a lot of experiences as compared to a lot of other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And all of them were, and I always tell people, my greatest success when I was working for the government was always when I was involved in stuff that was absolutely none of my business. Right. In other words, people would come to me and say, "Hey, would you mind helping out?" Right. It wasn't my job, it wasn't my business, But those are the things that led to the greatest successes, and always, in every case, opened new opportunities for me somewhere down the road. Right. Sure. So the more experiences we have, just makes us, more
exposes you to more people, more opportunities.
No, absolutely, yeah. So so you got your little store going. Now, so what's your long-term plan? So, I mean, is this going to be, are you going to have 101 stores?
That's where I'm like a guy. I live minute to minute, really.
Yeah. I mean, because my goal is to be the largest single gun seller of the planet.
See, you make me look bad. You got a goal.
Yeah. But, but I got some time. I got time to reach it. I do plan on opening my second store not too long.
My goal was to open the shop in there.
I mean, it sounds like you really just want to have, you keep busy, so you like doing it. You like introducing, meeting people, chatting with them. Right?
I love the.
And so this is an outlet of which you can satisfy multiple.
It's true.
Desires, basically.
It's true. Because I love the Lovettsvillians. I get to talk to them all day.
Yeah.
And honestly, do you know what another dream job of mine would be? You know how we're doing this?
Yeah.
I should have been a reporter because I love
Jorge Ramos.
I know, right? Hearing about people's lives.
You can't deport all those people.
They're really interesting. I mean,
is that a reporting?
I mean,
I don't know. I just want to be a talk show host. That's all.
Well, see, we can make.
And I started. We're doing this.
This is it.
4 people are going to watch this. Three people are going to watch this. Right? 3 people are going to watch this. He's already. Oh my God,
the dreams are coming true right now as we speak. I think my long-term goal is I want to retire at a decent age.
Yeah.
And I want to spend half of the year in St. John, and then the other half wherever it is we may.
Wasn't that a medicine? St. John's Wort?
St. John USVI, you big goober.
Oh, good. Okay, got it. Virgin Islands. Oh, got it. Yes. Yeah. Will you cut hair down there? Could you cut hair down there?
I want to, and I wanted to rent out this little space, and they basically laughed me out of there, like, barbershop ain't gonna work here, blah, blah, blah. And it's right where the boat comes in.
Oh, wow.
The tourists, I was gonna have little breakfast sandwiches, a barbershop, and a coffee shop.
That's
And I've had several millionaire business people tell me, Darcy, no, it's serious. Like, you'd have to sell drugs to make it there. And I'm like, really?
Well,
and they meant real drugs, not
yeah.
which is foreign to me, I have to say. I've never been into that. But anyhow, I guess that's not going to work if that's. Yeah. But anyhow,
so
I just want to make decent money. I just want at least 1.5 vacations a year. I don't need to be Donald Trump. I don't need to be, but I want to be comfortable and do what I love. And
so Molly, would you do it again?
Would I do it again?
Would you start this business?
You're asking me pretty soon into it because I vacillate weekly on this.
And the thing is, I think most small businesses, struggle with this, right? So a lot of people, they see an opportunity, they think they can make a go of it, they have no idea what the hell they're doing.
No,
they get into it, and next thing you know, they're going like, God dang, I just want to cut hair.
Yeah, right.
I didn't want to do all
it's
stuff,
true.
right? I mean, it's like with me and my gun shop. I just want to sell guns, right? And yet I spend a heck of a lot more time doing everything else.
You feel like somebody's kind of chasing your tail all the time.
No, absolutely. But for me, I plan on selling guns until the threat is over, and that threat being people wanting to take away our Second Amendment rights, right? But so it's not going to happen, right?
Well, no,
so
because we're going to pray about that.
Yeah. So
can I tell you something? I've never owned one.
Really?
And I'm scared of them, but fascinated by them. Like when I'm around the officers or around officers, I'm like, can I just touch that?
That's funny. So I never owned one really for the most part until just a couple of years ago. And my interview's later, but yeah, bottom line is this is I opened my store 100% because we have people in this nation that want to restrict our Second Amendment right. I mean, it's really just that simple, and that's why I just want to sell firearms. That's it,
right?
Because for that sole reason,
right?
It's for the literal self-defense of our nation.
Exactly.
But so did you ever answer me? So I'm going to do the little reporter thing.
What was the question again?
The question was, and I got the video. I can ask this again. Would you do it again?
Would I open the business again?
Would you open the business again?
Yeah.
I mean, because you could close tomorrow.
So this is why
you could close
I know,
tomorrow.
and
you
that's
could go back
true.
to nursing. You could let somebody else work.
Because this is why this is me in life, though.
Yeah.
It's not just because of how is it going or not going.
Yeah.
It's going very well. I'm one of those people that, because I've watched a lot of people die, literally.
Yeah.
And so you do a lot of thinking, and your self-awareness comes to the surface
Yeah.
a lot. I want to regret very little when my time comes that I didn't try something that I could have tried and had the opportunity to try.
Yeah.
And just chickened out. I don't want to chicken out of anything unless it's jumping off a cliff or out of a reasonably good running airplane.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, why people do that?
It's working.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Why aren't you jumping out?
And I'm not even going to tell you the people's story, but I was in an airplane one time that the engine blew up and the plane was on fire. And we were almost crashed into the ocean.
Are you serious?
No, absolutely, yeah.
Was it a commercial airline?
You want to talk about? You want to talk about
what year was
having
this?
to buy
I
new
used to work for the
underwear?
airlines too. Yeah.
You want to talk about buying new underwear? I had to. It was.
I seriously can't imagine. Like, what did go through your head?
Absolutely. It'll be a subject of another.
Okay,
video,
well, that.
Was there anything else you wanted to comment about your store? Because it's received nothing but high praise, right, from everybody, from two guys, right? No. I've heard it from. For a guy to say anything other than, oh, it was okay. I mean, that's like high praise. If the guy goes, hey, I really liked it. It's like, oh my gosh.
Well, again, I have to credit my mentor in Middleburg, but it's huge. And because I'm a nurse and a woman, I'm a natural people pleaser, and I'm very codependent. And if people aren't happy, it does keep me up at night. But don't let that stop you.
No, absolutely.
But no, I love what I do, and if people are disappointed, I'm disappointed. But I have a motto. I say, give us 3 chances and you're out, because really, it takes time to really get to know someone's head. Everybody has some.
And the bottom line is, what's the old adage for a haircut? What's the difference between a bad haircut and a good haircut?
There's a big difference.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Well,
for a guy, it's 2 weeks. We don't care.
Yeah.
Right? If it's too short, it'll grow.
But no, we love what we do, and we want to please people. And if you come back and you need it fixed, I can say, unlike a lot of other places, I would never charge somebody if they weren't happy with it and it needed to be fixed. I'm like, come back in, don't feel bad, because what makes me feel worse is if you don't say anything and you just go somewhere else. Because honestly, you can't learn to be better at your job if your clients don't help you. I don't care what industry you're in.
No, I agree. And in a small town like this, people, the word of mouth, right?
Absolutely,
it's huge.
It's huge,
right?
It's everything.
And so, and especially on some websites,
absolutely. And
right?
that was
You
one
don't
of the
just be
reasons I didn't
trash.
want to open up a business here because you're either a zero or a hero, man.
No,
They
I
either love
agree.
you or they're
I
going
agree.
to throw you out
And
the
trust
door.
me, I mean, I'm trying to sell guns. I've had guns in less.
You're well loved.
Well, the funny thing is, I've made guys really happy. I had a gun that was delivered in less than 24 hours. The guy had ordered it, like at 5 o'clock or 4:45 one day, and it was sitting right here at this table. Next day at 12 o'clock. Right, and some guys, I was unable to get. It was like 5, 6, 7 days ago. Their heads exploding, and again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not even pretending to, right? But I'm trying to get better every time.
Absolutely,
right?
and you learn every day, man. You learn,
Yeah.
and I'm a learnaholic, man. I don't stop. Ask him; he knows how to cut hair. Just because I'm in bed at night watching hair cutting videos. And horsemanship videos, and he's learned how to cut hair and do horses from watching my videos.
Do you trim his while he's asleep? It's like, there's that one day here.
You know what I
Get
do?
the little scissors, snip, snip, snip.
He gets granddaddy long leg eyebrows, and so I try to pull them out.
Mine come out like spikes, man. It's like nails. People go like, do you have those like metal things coming out? Like those, what are those called? Right? They're coming out.
I mean, they really should not be there.
I get a pair
and you know what? We get rid of those in our shop too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not completely.
And I'm blind, you can't see them anyway, so it's not like you can actually see them, right?
But Kim, my partner, is a master esthetician,
yeah.
So she can do facials.
Yeah.
She can take 10 years.
I just want to shave.
Like,
you have no idea how much this bugs me, right?
How many weeks of growth is that anyway?
Well, it's only like a couple.
Those are like the softest whiskers I've ever felt. Wow.
I'm not a real fuzzy guy.
No, you're not.
But, it didn't grow real fast.
Yeah.
It just didn't grow fast. But anyway, okay, so with that said, we're going to close out an interview with our special guest. And I think he's probably right next door, right? So I'm going to step out.
He's been hiding over there all this time.
Yeah, he's a beast.